crafty friends, it's Alexa from Hearts Crafts and I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Perth, Western Australia. Today I thought I would make some paper beads with you. I had a request from one of my team members to show her how to make these, so I thought, oh, I'll do a video and pop it on my YouTube channel so you all can see. Now, today I am going to be using the festive foil papers out of our holiday catalogue, and I've chosen the gold to use, and I'm just going to start off by showing you how to measure it all up, and also as a little treat we'll show you how to make this cute little ornament to go on the end. And the paper beads we'll be making is, I've made this one into a scissor charm. I did it long time ago. I know they're retired papers, but it's also a great way to use up all your scrap bit of designer series papers. And the way I varnished these, I actually rolled them in some Versamark and then I put clear embossing powder over them and just heat set it. There is so many different ways you can do this. You can buy varnish. I do have a varnish that I got from our local craft store, Red Dot store. And this is lovely. And it takes about 10-15 minutes to dry. So you can, but you've got to paint this one on. You can also use something like Crystal Effects, or there's so many different things out there that you can use. You can use dry clearing craft glue as well. I like to use that sometimes just to seal my beads. So yeah, I have fun. You can put glitter on them, as you can see on this one. I actually have made these beads. I used an old calendar and chopped that up, and I used our heat and stick powder, and then I rolled it in a bit of gold glitter. I know it's a retired one that we had, and just used it on there. You can use your alcohol markers. I put some Shrinky Dink charms on the bottom that I had stamped and coloured in with our pastel chalks with the Shrinky Dinks, which is also very fun to do. I had a lot of fun making them too. So maybe one day I'll do a video on that. So, but we don't actually sell Shrinky Dinks, but it was something I did with my team members on our craft retreat. Had loads of fun making them. So yeah, so today we're going to be making something like this. So let's get started. I'll show you how I measured it up. Okay, so hopefully I'm staying in screen here. Now I've got a 1-inch ruler here. And I'm just going to line it up. Now you want your triangles to be, I'm going to say isosceles, but I'm not sure if that is the quite correct term, but you'll see as we go along. Okay, so to start off with, I want my beads to be 1/2 inch, so I'm just going to measure 1/2 inch on one side, and I'm just going to do a few. And then we're going to turn your paper around to the opposite side. Whoops. And because I want 1/2 inch, and I did about 2 inches there, so I'm actually going to come in 1/4 inch and make a line, because I want it to be half of the 1/2 inch, and then I'll go 1/2 inch again and 1/2 inch again, and 1/2 inch again. Now this makes it 2 inches here, which those little bits I may use, I may not. Sometimes you can get them to roll perfectly and sometimes you can't. So we'll see how we go. But next I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer. Now you could draw lines and cut it out with scissors if you wish to. I'm not going to. I'm going to see if I can keep this sort of in frame for you, so you can see what we're doing. So what I'm going to do, hopefully you can see that, is where this 1/4 inch mark is, I'm going to line that up in my track here, and then on the other side where I've got the edge of my paper, hopefully you can see that, I'm going to line my trimmer up with that. So maybe I'll just see if I can bring you out a bit. Might be able to. Oh, there we go. Okay, you can see my dirty desk now. That's okay. So I'm just lining up down here, and I'm lining up with the corner here. And I am just... And the secret of this is to start where you've got your bigger piece and not your edge, because it tapers off, it just doesn't cut correctly. So then we're left with a piece like that, which you can either throw in the bin, or I'm going to roll it and see if I can get a nice little bead with that. Next, I'm going to keep this end here, and then up here where I have my 1/2 inch marked, I am going to line those up again, hopefully keeping in frame so you can see, and I'm just going to trim. And I'm going to repeat that for every one. So I'm going to move this one over here to the 1/2 inch, this one to where the edge is, and I'm going to slice down. And this just gives you a nice trimmed piece, and it tapers in. It's not flat on one side, like this one is flat on one side, which makes it very hard to roll unless you want sort of like a cone thing shape. So yeah, and then we'll go to the next one where we go to our 1/2 inch, and we're keeping this like that. And I will do this with all of them until I get to the end. Now with this last one, as you can see, this will now be 1/4 inch out. So with this last one here, just to make my paper straight again, I'm just going to trim that off like so and put it to the side. And I may use it for a smaller bead later. Okay, now I'm going to, oops, just grab a skewer. I buy these at our local Red Dot store. We can buy them supermarket, wherever you like. I found that this is a nice thickness if I want to thread ribbon through it. Another thing you can use is a quilling tool, or you can on eBay buy paper bead rollers. I don't make enough to justify that. So I love quilling. I used to do a lot of quilling before. I should do it again. So this was just another little bead I used with a scrap that was this size. So you can turn these scraps into a nice little bead, but yeah, they are difficult. They're not as easy to roll. Okay, so I'm going to show you, and I'm going to bring in my glue. So now the glue I use, it's just a clear drying glue. You can use your Tombow, but I find the Tombow is a bit tacky when it dries. It shouldn't matter if you're going to seal them, but I like to use this because if I don't want to seal them, I know it's got a seal on it from the glue already. So it just depends. And I find it also gives extra strength as well. So what I'm going to do is also grab my bone folder. Maybe. Oh, here it is. And I could probably bring you back in now. Whoops, a bit too much. There we go. Bring you back in. And I'm just going to curl this end bit here because it makes it easier to get this started if you do that. So all I'm going to do is just basically wrap this around my skewer. I always find it hard to get it started. And the secret is to try and keep it central. And I actually might use my Tombow. I have my Tombow in a little just for when I keep it started. And it will hold it in place. So, because if you're like me, and if you have arthritic fingers, and you let go, it's like, oops, I shouldn't have let go. Okay. Hardest part I find with rolling these is keeping it central. But once you get started, it's really, really simple. And the other secret is to keep it firm. Firm and central. I might just add a bit more Tombow in here, in case it decides to spring on me. And like I said, the hardest part is keeping it central. I've gone off a bit. Of course, I'm on camera. It's always when you're on camera you go off a wee bit. But they're handmade paper beads. They're not, you know, manufactured, and it's not always easy, especially, like I said, when you've got arthritic fingers like I have as well. But it can be done, and it is a little fiddly. And this is when I bring in my clear glue. And you will get messy fingers. If you're got sensitive skin, I suggest you wear gloves doing this, depending on what sort of glue you use. Oops. Gosh, I've been making paper beads all morning and doing a lovely job. Now I want to do one on camera. It's not cooperating, but that's okay. There we go. And there's my first paper bead. So this glue does get a bit stringy, but it does dry clear. Oh dear. There we go. And just, whoops. Oh, damn it. Damn it, Janet. There we go. It moved a little bit. That's okay. Right. So there's my first bead with my gluey fingers. So there we go. There's the first one. Now, I might just show you quickly how to do one. I'll use this thinner strip. See if we can get this to cooperate. So the reason I prefer to use the skewer with the ribbon because it gives you a bigger hole, whereas this doesn't give you quite as big hole, but that's okay. So, but I'll see if I can keep this central and make a nice bead. Doesn't always happen. This tool is a wee bit quicker because it's easy to roll and it's got hold of your paper. Whoops. Whereas the other one doesn't hold your paper. And I'm just trying to shape this as I go along. It's not always so easy to get a nice symmetrical bead, but there we go. Okay. Oh, this glue is stringy. But I have had success with this glue in doing my paper beads and sealing it. There we go. So there's a little paper bead, and I'll leave that to dry on here for a few minutes, and I'll take it off before it firmly sets. And yeah. Okay, so I'm going to continue on making some more of these paper beads on the skewer, and hopefully we'll have a little bit more success. And then I will come back and show you how I So I've made this one. Now the reason why I'm showing you this shape bauble is because in our clearance rack at the moment, they have the pair. So it's this punch and where's this one? Where is my small one? Here's the other one. So you can buy the two together in our clearance rack. I can't remember how much they were, but I saw them there last night and went, oh, cool. I could use them because I always forget things on our clearance rack to demonstrate and show because they're retired stock. But if we have them for sale, why not? Okay, so I will probably speed this up as I go along. Okay, so I finished rolling my beads and this is what I've got. Just a few beads here. And now I'm going to make the dangle bit for the end. And I'm going to be using the bigger punch out of the Ornaments. And I've used two to layer up. And we just glue these together. I've already glued some together. And I'll just glue these together with the Tombow glue or whatever wet glue you're using. But you need a good strong adhesive with whatever you're using, and make sure you get fairly good, liberal amount over it because you want this to stick together. And then I just place my other piece over. Oh, I was going to show, I was going to chop two more out, so just put those to the side. I'll just grab my punch and as you can see, I'm actually just using a cereal box, I think, or this might have been a cookie box, I don't know. My friends, they're all wonderful and keep their boxes for me for my albums because it's how I like to make my covers. So I just punched two more out, and I punched two more out because I want to have double layer for the outside as well as the inside. I've already done the other inside. Make sure I get glue all over that piece. And pop it on top. And then I'm going to glue my designer series paper on top of this piece. I've already glued one layer on that. Here's my other piece. Oh, I just take the glue to the edge here because you want it to stick well. Like that, and one more for this one. Just gives it extra stability and strength when you're layering up with the cardboard. I mean, if you're using chipboard, I would just use one piece of chipboard. You know, you could use our designer series, some of our designer series papers. Specialty stuff comes with chipboard backing. You can just punch out one of them, and 2 for the middle. So when these bits here are dry enough, what we're going to do is take our scissors and we're going to cut just to the side of the middle, straightish up, and then on the other side as well. And I'm leaving a good 1/8 of an inch, perhaps a bit more, maybe 1/4 of an inch either side. And then I'm just going to apply some more glue to one side. And stick it down. Whoops, almost stuck it to the wrong bit. And stick it down like so. So I'm just lining it up and sticking it down to my top piece. And if there's any seeping glue, I just try and remove it a bit with your fingers. You could also use a baby wipe, but I don't have any in my craft room right now. I don't know where they've all gone. That's all right. This will be fine. Oop. That was lucky. And glue this down to this side. Make sure it's all nice and even. And I'm just going to line this up. Now the reason why I haven't just cut straight up. The reason why I didn't glue these 4 bits together is because it's hard to cut. So, and you can't see the middle when it's all together, so it doesn't really matter too much how if you get it completely straight or matchy, but as long as you get it reasonably matchy, you're pretty good. As long as the edges are all nicely lined up, it'll be good. I'll just line this up again with the scissors. There we go. And then you just place some glue on here. Another good thing about wet glue, you can make sure it's all lined up. Might have to refill my bottle. And there we go. We have another dangly bead with a hole down the middle. And that's how you do that. And it's got some good weight in it. Now you can leave that to dry for a few seconds, and we'll glaze our beads. And I might try glazing this one with embossing powder too. This one I used I know it's retired, our old Crystal Effects, the shimmery one, but my bottle's basically empty, so I'm going to try this one with some heat embossing powder. So just the clear. Okay, so I'm just going to bring in my Versamark, and you don't need to use your embossing buddy with this because you want it to go all over. And oh, I've got the embossing powder. Okay, I also grabbed my gold embossing powder as well as my clear embossing powder, so because I might do a bit of gold on the edges. So what I'm going to do is grab my paper bead, put my stick through the middle and just run this across my ink pad, giving it a fairly good amount of pressure so it gets the whole bead. And then I stick the whole bead into the embossing powder. And I'm going to put the lid back on my embossing powder. And my ink so it doesn't dry out. And bring in my heat gun and just heat it up a smidge. And then as you're doing this, you need to roll and I hope you can see it turning. There we go. I roll it and keep on rolling it till it cools a bit so it doesn't blob anywhere because it becomes liquefied. And once it's cool, which that is, there's your bead. So I'm going to go through and do the rest of my beads, and then we'll come back and do our other one. Sorry about that, guys. I thought I was still recording, but I wasn't. So I had actually heat embossed this side here, and I reckon it's turned out gorgeous. It's lovely. It's not as thick as the other one is with the crystal effects, but it still gives a good layer and coverage over it. I'm pretty happy with that and fairly impressed. So I'm going to give the other side a go as well, and maybe the edges. And I actually have put a bit of gold Sharpie on the edges here, and maybe we might even try dipping this bit in some gold heat embossing powder. Unfortunately, I've had to tape this in a few days because things have happened. But I had a little bit of a play, and I dipped it in some gold embossing powder on the edges on this one, and I thought it turned out absolutely gorgeous. So we may give it a go. Who knows? We'll see, shall we? So all I did was I got my lovely Versamark ink pad, and I just smushed this into here. I'm going to move it around because I think my Versamark actually needs re-inking. So I just wanted to make sure I get a good, even sort of coverage, which I'm hoping that is. Oh, I'm losing my toothpick. Come back, toothpick. Okay, let's do that bit again, since I just wiped it all off. Beautiful. Right. And I just dipped that into the embossing powder. Put that to the side. And let's heat this up. And it does go quite quickly. Let's see if it's still moist enough to pick some more embossing powder up. No, it's not quite. That's all right. I shall brush that off and pop it into the Versamark again. There we go. Actually, I might just do it this way. Give it a bit of a tap. Now on the other side, I actually did quite a few layers. So I'll probably do the same on this side. Oops. I think I might take my bead off. Just going to pop some heat embossing powder on the edges and see how that comes out as well. Okie dokies. Right, pop this to the side. Okay, how'd we go with that? Well, I don't think the edge is quite. I think they got a wee bit. Right. That's not too bad. I'm fairly happy with this side. So I'm just going to wait a couple of seconds for it to might put another layer on this side. Maybe I might just leave it and not mess around with it too much. And just pop my embossing powder back in the container. Oops. And I may get some gold and see how it will look with some gold. Whilst I've got it all out, why not? And I'll do the gold on the edges. So I might just do one edge at a time. And just see how that goes. Right, let's get this all out of the way. So don't want it to go everywhere. And I might just grab our tweezers and just pop it in like so. Well, I know this isn't going to be perfect, but that's not too shabby. I'm fairly happy with that. Oh dear. Oh no. No. Well, hopefully when I go to do the other edge, it actually ran a little bit. And I don't mind that look, actually. It doesn't look too bad. And hopefully that will smooth out when we do the other side. I actually don't mind that. Whoops, am I in frame? I hope so. It's not perfect, but it actually doesn't look too bad. For an experiment, I mean, yeah. I'm happy with that. I guess I've got to remember that the embossing powder does heat up again and does melt, so the clear is going to melt again as well. So yeah, I am fairly happy with that result. There we go. Right. Let's place this back in. Remove our embossing powder completely. Oh, oops. Oh dear. Oh well. Hopefully heating it up again will smooth it all out. Which it has. Awesome. Okay, it's not perfect, but it's not too bad. I don't mind it that much. Yeah. Anyway, fun experiment with it all. Very nice. And it has a little bit of gold around it, so which isn't too bad. I don't mind that. Very nice. Might just have to let that cool a bit though. But I did not expect. It's a shame I dropped it because it was looking so good. I was like, oh wow, this looks so cool. But oh well, never mind. Doesn't matter. It still looks lovely. I am fairly happy with it. So although might have been nice to have a bit of gold around the edge there. Maybe. Just wondering whether I could perhaps achieve it. Shall we see? Okay, I think that will do before I muck it up. That's not too bad. I am fairly happy with that. Fairly happy. I think it looks lovely. I mean, that's a little bit, but oh well. It is handmade after all. And yeah, I think whoever I give this to, they will appreciate it and love it. So there we go. So now the next thing I'm going to do is make it into a dangly. So with this one, I've just threaded through, I thread through a bit of our Parakeet Party ribbon, which is just here, the metallic woven ribbon, which is absolutely gorgeous. And I thought, oh, perfect for Christmas, this colour. Absolutely gorgeous for Christmas. So I'm quite happy about that. So I had a needle here somewhere. That's disappeared. Uh-oh. Oh, there it is. Okay. So all I did was I tied a knot. Now I tied a knot. I knotted it 3 times so it wouldn't come through. So I am just going to knot this again. I think I might do a second knot over it. I'm just very, very carefully tying this knot. Because you don't want it to be too bulky, but you also don't want your beads to go falling through. So what I'm going to do now is put my ribbon on the needle and feed my beads through. Hopefully. And the reason I've put a knot in between the beads is because I wanted them to have a bit of space, and I didn't think you could achieve that without having a knot there, which is probably correct. There we are. And a bead. This time I'm using one of the bigger beads. Oops. And I might need a bigger knot. Oh dear. That's okay, I'll just feed this through. And tie. Gosh, sometimes I wish I was a lot better at knots. But unfortunately, a lot has to do with... That's better. There we go. And then this one on the top. Oh, I forgot to tie a knot. Ah. Hang on. Nope, that didn't work. I was just trying a different way of tying a knot, but it didn't work. So, but that's okay. And hopefully I only need no. Okay. Yay, I saved it. Right. I know this must be incredibly boring watching me tie knots. And I do apologise, but there we go. So there's one charm, and I may just leave it there. For now. Let's see if I can tie a loop. Let's hope. I think so. Okay, so I have a loop here. Might just tidy this up a little bit. Right, so there's another charm. Hopefully I'm in the camera. Hopefully I was in the camera for all of that. But yeah, there's a little charm that you can put on an album. You could, I've got some phone, oh, that one's broken. What do you call them? I've got some phone things where you can latch these onto here and put them onto a phone, or you could put them onto your scissors. So many different things you can do with these. Hang it on the tree as an ornament, turn it into a bookmark, whatever. I think this would be so cute as a little Christmas gift for someone. Maybe the teachers, for your kids. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I thoroughly enjoyed making these. I thought it was very, very cute. And if you liked it, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see any future videos of mine coming out, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And please leave me a comment, because I do love reading what you all write. It's nice to read what people say and think and feel. And nothing gives me great pleasure in reading what you have to say. Okay, guys, have a great time and happy crafting. Bye for now.